My
How are
God, are
you?
we starting a podcast right now with our
It looks
mics?
like we're starting a so anyway, it would be like a what it would be like a crime podcast. What would it be?
Oh yeah, it'd be a crime podcast, but I'm such a wimp. Like I even get scared listening to crime podcasts, so I'd probably be like scared the whole
Yeah.
time as the host. Like I'd be like scared telling the
You're
stories.
like, all right, can we just move on to like the next
Yeah.
topic? So you're like, no, this is
Another
what the
commercial
whole
break, another
show,
commercial
yeah,
break. Yeah.
this is what it's about. He's like, okay. All right, you guys, welcome into Artists on Deck, brand new episode. My name is Morgan Tompkins. I am joined today by the amazing Josie Dunne. Josie, what's happening?
What's happening? How are you?
I'm good. It's so good to see you. Are you in Chicago? Where are you right now?
Nashville.
Nashville. You're bouncing all over the place. I can't keep track of you.
I know. That's a good memory though. I grew up in Chicago, so good memory there. And I'm a huge Cubs fan. You're a Dodgers guy.
Right. So here we are. People would think we're not friends because of that, but we found a way to overcome that.
We did. And actually, too, a Nashville link to the Dodgers. I think Mookie Betts is from Nashville.
Is he really?
I think
you're
so.
right.
Yeah.
Yep. And he played up in Boston. Now we got him in LA and we're never giving him back.
I'm jealous. I wish he would come to Chicago.
I know baseball season has officially started. It's crazy. I'll be back at Dodger Stadium next week for the first time in a year and a half. And it's like, they're doing like 20% capacity or whatever it is. But
I think it's the same at Wrigley Field too.
Yeah.
I think it's like 20%. Yeah. I'm so jealous. I wish I could get to a game as soon as I get the vaccine, which actually right after this, I'm going to get my vaccine. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah. We're in the clear. I think next week is when we start opening up. So I think, hopefully soon enough, things will start to happen here. I feel like we're in the home stretch.
I know. It's like the light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah. Exactly.
How have you been though through all this? I know, it's been a minute. I haven't seen you in probably 2 years. And I know we, keep up with each other on socials and stuff, but how have you been through all of this? Everything okay in your world?
Been good. Yeah. I've just been writing. I think the quarantine and the way that COVID structured the music industry, like everything slowed down. And so it's been like a really big challenge to the writing process, and especially the way that I was so used to writing like in co-writes where you show up in a room and you get to kind of feed off the energy of people and it's all collaboration. And it changed to be where a bulk of the work is just you just have to do it in your room, you know what I mean? And so I think it's been a really good challenge to like my writing process, and I'm really stoked with what's coming down the line.
I know. That's a little tease, right? I mean, we have, some new music on the horizon. I know you can't give away too much, but an album in the works on the horizon. What can you tell us about it?
I'm really excited. I think with my previous, the way that it differs from what I've done in the past is like everything I've done up to date has just been kind of a random collection of songs that get paired together in an EP. And so now I feel like I've created this like body of work that I'm really proud of. And so final stages of writing it and getting it done, but I'm really excited about it.
So is that kind of, again, I'm not a singer songwriter, so I'm always curious, is that kind of sometimes how it works with an EP? So last year you dropped late teens, early 20s, which was 6 songs, if I remember, something like that. Is that something where you're like, okay, I have these 6 songs that I'm really proud of and I want to put them out there to the fans, so I'm going to put out this collection of music, which is great. And then structuring an album is like you said, so different because it has to kind of flow. There has to be, I guess a bit of a, I guess a
like
bit
a story arc.
Like
it has to kind of fit together. Yeah. That was, and I took that to the extreme because I kind of was like with the EPs that had been, and especially late teens, early 20s, it was just as I wrote the songs, we would get them finished and it would come out. Like it was like I was releasing the music as I was experiencing it and writing.
Right.
So it was really kind of fast paced and, or it felt fast paced for me. And with this, it's been like, I wanted to do the exact opposite of that. I think I wanted to sit with the songs and like think about them and think about the story arc. And that's exactly what the whole album, like without giving away too much, because I don't want to say too much and it's not even done, but it flows chronologically. So it literally is all one story arc. And I like kind of just took that to the extreme. I was like, if I'm going to do an album, I'm going to just do it. So it's kind of like a concept thing. It all fits together. And I'm really proud of how it's shaping up.
All right. Well, I guess I can't ask too many questions without prying,
It's such a tease, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I guess I'll just ask you this: with the songwriting process, did you have songs that you wanted to be part of this first album, and then maybe other songs took their place as you kind of continued this evolution, and as you kind of flushed out this idea of this bigger concept? Is it kind of a process for you of, this song made it and then that one didn't, or restructuring, where everything kind of falls in line with that?
Yeah, I've done the entire thing with my friend Connor, who he produced and co-wrote the last song I put out, Lost, and this Christmas song I put out this past Christmas called Holidays. And so we've done a lot of work together, and really him and I have kind of like, it started with this concept of the whole thing. And so we've just kind of slowly chipped away at it. And I feel like the story has kind of crafted itself based on this overarching like concept that we've just kind of stuck to. But it's exactly that. It's like songs have beaten out other ones. And actually we started writing for it before we even wrote Lost. So it's funny because like all of the songs that we've put out recently with that I've put out recently with him, that I've worked on with him, is been just like, it's been us being like, all right, let's take a time out from this thing that we love doing so much and try and get this, like, let's try and get this 6th song of the EP done, and let's try and get the holiday song, and like just setting little challenges for ourselves. But this has been like the big goal the whole time. So it's been really fun, and it's like so rewarding that it's in the final stages right now.
All right. Well, we'll leave it at that. I know I am going to be very excited when that finally drops, but that's going to be a big deal. So congrats on all that. We'll have to circle back around when that drops and talk all about it. And
yeah, exactly.
Then all your secrets will be out now. You right now, you have so many secrets. They will all be.
I'm so mysterious, aren't I? I'm so secretive. My first EP ever too. I think I premiered it with you over at Radio Disney. So we should. I know,
and it's crazy just to see all the growth and the change. And I know I guess it's similar, talking to like songwriters. It's like a yearbook, like when you look back on songs or EPs or projects or whatever from last year or years ago, you kind of are brought back to that moment or that time, or where you were as an artist in that point. So it's cool to kind of see the evolution of all of that.
Totally. And I think that's why late teens, early 20s to me was so like fun. Once I had finished it, it was like such a celebration because I felt like I could listen down to it and hear all of the ways that I was growing up in little tiny, like taking more like of a grip onto how I, the lyrics, or taking a tighter grip onto the production, like just becoming more intentional every single step down the way, a little bit more myself. And so I think that was like such a cool project, and it worked out that I called it late teens, early 20s, because I felt like it really mirrored like how I felt going through my late teens, early 20s, where I'm just like figuring it out as I go. I don't know. We'll see how it turns out at the end.
Story of all of our lives right now. Still, actually, after you get past that, well into adulthood, we're all just figuring it the hell out as we go.
Figuring it out.
And what's like a release day like for you? When you drop that EP last year, when you drop a holiday song, when obviously the big debut of this album comes out, what's that like for you as an artist to kind of be working on these songs, kind of behind closed doors with just a few people, these ideas getting tossed around for months or years at a time, and then that moment of finally being able to kind of put that out there, set it free, give it to the fans? I mean, what's that like for you as an artist?
Oh, it's so fun. I feel like that's like, it shouldn't be the most rewarding part of it, because the most rewarding part should be making it, and like, the process of creating is so fun, and that's why you do it. But hearing people love it is like so fun. And it's really fun too. I feel like, especially recently, just as I've gotten, like I said, more intentional and more myself, people picking apart the lyrics and like figure, like connecting the dots to little things that I put little Easter eggs or whatever in. And there's a ton in the album, and having people like start to pick that apart or go, what's this sound? This is really interesting, to like get to clue people in on the creative process is like just as fun too. And I try and spend release days, with like people that I love, with the team, with my friends, and just like celebrating it, And
it's so cool for the fans too. I mean, I know you get to interact with them on, social and stuff right now. We're obviously missing live shows. We'll talk about that here in a few, but I mean, that's got to be cool for them too, to be able to, hear your music or a music video, whatever it is that you finally released. And like you said, have them kind of pick up on some of the lyrics or some of the subtleties that you've put in there. and just be able to kind of interact with you. I mean, what's that relationship like with your fans?
It's so close. I think what's cool about it is like the fan artist relationship across the board, you know, and especially for me too, has changed over quarantine, I think a lot, you know, as people were doing like right when quarantine started and people were doing live streams like crazy and people were doing, you know, just like being on social media all the time, that becomes the full-time job when you're not touring. And so think it's really cool because it's become like a friend relationship, you know, like I feel like I'll talk to fans and know about, you know, what's going on in their lives, when their birthday is, when they're having a test, or, you know, like you just pick up on the intricacies and it's really a friend relationship, which is really cool. It sounds corny to say, like whenever artists say that, I'm always like, oh my God, friend relationship. Yeah. Right. But it really is, you know?
Oh, I mean, it's a two-way street. Like I said, I feel like a lot of people, like, you know, sometimes put artists up on this pedestal of like, you know, it's just a one-way thing. We are fans of you. But I think a lot of ways, you know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but, you know, artists and musicians and everybody like that, you know, they have days where they need the fans just as much as the other way around.
Oh my
where
God.
You go to socials, or, you know, that thing we all remember, a live show and seeing an audience and, you know, being able to kind of like, you know, vibe off of them when you need it. You know what I mean? So it really does go both ways.
1,000%. And you're so right. I think especially with quarantine and especially with the rise of like writing on my own and, you know, carrying a lot more of the weight of how the songs are made and what they sound like and what they say, like that has been a really tough process, because when you're writing alone, you can be like your greatest hype man, but you can also be your greatest critic. And it's really easy to start being like, you know, oh, this verse isn't good enough. This verse isn't good enough. And so having people that are just, they know your deepest, darkest secrets because you put them out in songs.
Yeah.
So they know exactly how your brain works, you know, and they just, having somebody else to hype you up is like very important. And just having a friend to be there to talk to about it, you know?
And on that note about songwriting, and obviously with what's been going on the last year, everyone's kind of had to adapt to things, whatever they may be, learn new skills, you know, figure out how to stay sane and continue to do what they love. So how has that process been for you to continue songwriting? Like you said, you know, I know there's some stuff you can do over Zoom, but you don't really have that in-person kind of writing session where you can vibe off people and, you know, their energy and everything like that. So I guess what have been the good parts about that? Maybe some stuff that you've learned about yourself, or some things that you've learned how to do, and then what's been, you know, some of the challenges of that over the last year?
I think I got really lucky with it because I had just met Connor through it, who's my like closest collaborator and producer on everything. And we had such a strong relationship where like we for months had kind of like gotten our thing down, so that by the time that quarantine and COVID had hit, like, and we were having to be separated, I felt like we could work remotely really like well, you know, where he could do the beat and or we could get on Zoom and grab melodies together, and then I could kind of sit with it in my room and just like flush away at the lyrics. And so we kind of had a system down where, you know, I'm sure if I was just co-writing with a bunch of random people all the time, it would be a lot harder for me to adjust. But because of that, I think it made it like a little bit easier, but it was still hard. I mean, I'm so used to, like you said, having that energy in the room and just having somebody to go, this is a good idea or this is a bad idea, you know, somebody to bounce things off of. And so that definitely continues to be a challenge, but I feel like I've learned a little bit more maybe how to get out of my own head. And I recognize that like it's been a really good push. And just for me as a songwriter, like forget about being an artist, like it's been a really good push for me to like have to write songs alone, you know, and not rely on other people. It's like all of a sudden you're really being put to the test. And so I feel like I've grown a lot as a writer. And then because of that, I've grown a lot as an artist too.
Yeah. I feel like we've all had to kind of evolve a bit fast this year with
that,
you know,
seriously,
which I think we'll be thankful for in the long run, but there's definitely been some challenges to go along with it with this past year for sure.
You too, especially because you're so used to being out on the ground and talking to people, and that's the whole name of the game.
Yeah, I mean, for someone like me that works with people, and that's like the whole point of it, it's been different with no like crowds, no red carpets, no, you know, so it's digital things, which, you know, is great that we still get to interact with people and do fun interviews and things like that. But, you know, as you being someone that is, you know, played live shows and understands that feeding off energy and being with people and everything like that. But the brighter days are ahead. We are past the worst of it, and that gives me a beautiful segue into some live shows maybe that you may have coming up. Tell me about that.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Yes.
I'm freaking out. I have it's only 3 shows right now, but I'm happy for anything. I'm doing some I'm opening up for some of my buddies who have a band called Moon Taxi, and we're just touring around like kind of in the South, East Coast-ish. And it's going to be really fun. All the shows are like, one's a drive-in. The first one, which I'm really interested to see, is it's like pods. Like you buy like a little pod, and then they have like food delivered to the pods, and whatever. So it'll be interesting. I've never played a show like this, where it's like a socially distant show. I've never done before, but I'm just so excited to get to play. Like, that's it. There'll
be so no mosh pits at all. I hope you're ready for that. I know it's not, you're used to this when you're playing a show, but we're going to have everyone's in their pod individually moshing while they
moshing with themselves.
Yes. It is a self-quarantine mosh pit style show. Okay.
I know it's going to be tough to get used to. I was thinking it might be funny if I got like one of those giant hamster ball things.
Right.
And then I could mosh into the pods. Like we could have a pod mosh.
Does everybody just start smacking into each other? And, we're gonna have to get creative with this whole thing. But I mean, I cannot imagine your level of excitement after a year plus of not being able to do this.
Man.
We're all just so grateful just for little things now, where it's kind of just like the small things that we may have kind of taken for granted or overlooked or been like, okay, that's just another thing I do. But just a little something now. I'm just like, let's do it.
I'm ready. That's exactly what it is. I mean, even baseball, like I'm such a big baseball fan. And so even just baseball being back, I'm like, I can't believe I took this for granted. I love watching baseball. There's so many little things that I feel like have been, even it's been starting in Nashville to open up more and more too. And I've done just a couple in-person sessions, and that's also been really fun. It's like, oh my gosh, I totally took for granted how fun it is just to be in the room with people vibing, like little things that are so much more exciting now. For
sure. I mean, and on that note, again, it's been limited the last year, but what have you been doing kind of for fun to take your mind off of work or songwriting, or if you need to just clear your head or just something you do? I mean, what have you been doing for fun?
I've gone full grandma mode in quarantine. I learned to crochet.
Wow.
I've done a lot of crafts, a lot of painting, a lot of drawing, just a lot of crafts. The recent thing that I've done with my roommates is like beading. Like we'll make little necklaces and bracelets and rings, and like
I love this.
We've gone full grandma mode, which I love doing crafts. I got into stamp making. I did some like where you carve out stamps. It's so nerdy. Like I'm just full nerd now.
I love it. Bring out all the sweatpants and nerdy things forever. I'm all about it.
I know. I just need to start doing like jazzercise or something, and then I'm just fully there.
I love that. Well, I'm super excited about everything you have coming up. I think we're all feeling hopeful about where we are, and this year has been behind us, and we can start getting into some great music and some live shows, and hopefully the next time we talk can be in person, and we'll get you out to a Dodger game maybe while they're playing.
Yes, I can do an anthem or something.
Yes, that would be great. You sing the anthem, and then we'll pretend like we're rivals, but really we're friends, and it'll be great.
I am so down for that. I'm ready for that. Thank you, Morgan. This is so fun, and it's so fun to get to catch up with you too. It's been too long.
I know. Thank you for the time today. Congrats on everything. I mean, it's no secret. I'm a huge fan of yours, and we're very excited about everything you have coming up. So keep plugging away, and I look forward to chatting with you soon and having some new music come our way.
Woo!